Hello and welcome to my podcast, Chai Time with Prabhleen. And I'm Prabhleen, your host, and I am welcoming today an amazing, vibrant guest, Anna Soriano from Anna Soriano Photography. So, how are you, Anna?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing great as you are by my side. So today we're going to talk about her journey and the challenges she faced and how she got into this amazing business. The portfolio you have built is just amazing and beautiful. So I'm so excited to have this chat with you.
And how did you start it?
So how did you start your journey and how did you got so passionate about photography?
All right. Well, I first discovered the interest for photography when I was probably about 12 years old. I saw my dad dabble in it. He loved pictures. He loved documenting everything about our lives. And his baby brother actually was the one who came home to the Philippines. We were in Manila then, and visited and brought with him a luggage of cameras. And he asked me to be a model. And when I saw what he produced, and at that time he was using film photography. He was doing film photography. I said, "Ooh, this is something that was really exciting for me." So
amazing.
So fast forward in I think 2011, if I remember the day right. I was working in corporate, and we got laid off. I got laid off, right?
Okay.
So I was handsomely given a severance package. So I decided, you know what am I going to do with it? Maybe live a semi-retired life. Or I thought I could. But I decided to invest in a camera, a good camera. And from then, I immersed myself in learning on my own, attending workshops, reading magazines, and just trial and error. Everything was just experimenting. That's how it all started.
Yeah. How did you feel when you were laid off? Because it's a story of a lot of people right now, especially after COVID, and we're still struggling with its economy, and then getting laid off. It's hard on you. So how did you get past that?
So when I got laid off in 2011, I could remember telling my boss when he came in walking so polished with a suitcase or with an attaché case. We knew that was a sign of, the mallet hitting the table. I told him, I think I'm going to be the happiest manager that you were going to lay off, because I knew that there was a hefty package involved, right? I'm one person whose mindset is wired differently. I never look at anything as a blow to my plans in life. I look at everything as an adjustment, bringing me closer to where I want to be. So that was good because I had a severance package, right? So I did that and I pursued it. There was no fear in me. I have 6 kids and I parented these children as a single parent, right? So there was no room for fear. There was no room for anxiety. There was no room for anything that will get in the way of giving my kids a great life.
Yeah.
And that's how
definitely a thing, Anna. We require a positive mindset for this. There are habits that we have to establish in order to have that positive mindset, to not look at these things as, oh, they're hard on me, but give it a quite little different perception. You have that, I'm gonna be so happy and I'm out of here and I'm ready to build my life.
That's right.
I love that about you.
Right. And those are how would I say it? At that moment, those were the things that made the transition so easy, So I lived with that kind of life, I no longer work a full-time job, and here I am just trying to figure out, how I'm going to establish this. So because I had money then, it's different when, when the cash runs low.
That's right.
Yes, right. That's when the challenge begins. But I think what was to my advantage was that I had the foundations of thinking, having a winning attitude, if I can call it that, right? I've always had that mindset that everything that I need is already available to me. It's really just a matter of tapping into these resources and running with it.
Right.
So in 2016, I decided to, well, I went back into the workforce, right? Again, got a corporate job, which was paying me nicely. I was able to afford a house on my own with 6 kids. So
Wow.
that's another manifestation of a dream that I had. And it's quite a story that my children love to keep retelling, because I guess if they saw that I was able to do it, that they can too, right? So in 2016, there was this powerful message that kept haunting me, waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and spoke to me that I was given talents. If I don't nurture it, if I don't cultivate it, if I don't use it, I'm going to take it away. And that was like, oh, I love this so much. What am I going to do with it? But I had a mortgage. I just bought a brand new car. And my youngest daughter was in private school. But, I'm a little daredevil.
You are.
So I said, okay. I handed in my resignation, and my boss at that time was freaking out because we just got into a new contract.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't, because if you quit now, it's going to affect the contract that we signed in.
Right.
And you know what? Maybe I was being selfish at that time, just thinking of myself, that I should sacrifice the life that I envisioned for myself in favor of the company maintaining their good standing with the company that they have a contract in. But I remember telling my boss then, I said, I don't live for the company.
Yeah.
I don't live for you. He said, I live for myself. And that's one of the most powerful advocacies that I actually push for, that I actually am very passionate about, is that we've been so conditioned to please everyone that we've forgotten about ourselves. We've gotten so lost in translation. And I think that's why portrait photography became so powerful to me.
Yes.
Because it's me having to pull a client, a subject, right in front of me to trust me with 3 hours of their life, allow themselves to be vulnerable, allow themselves to be authentic to who they are, their desires, what they want.
Yes.
And that 3 hours is so powerful because it's such a safe place. There's no judgment, there's no right or wrong.
Definitely. Like, I am one of your client, and I love, your work. Like, I have been following your work for some time, and it's amazing. I mean, the blogs you have shared, the portfolio you have made, and the details you have shared, it's definitely come from deep within when you share in a safe place. And I remember coming to your studio, and I was having a bad day because I had forgotten my dress at home. And then I got there like, oh no, Anna, I only have a dress. I don't have the other one. And what do I do? And you're like, that's okay, Prabhleen. That is fine. This is your safe space. Just take a breath and we can figure it out.
Actually, I didn't sound as calm as that. I'm like, it's all good. You're just gonna have to release it. It's all gonna be good. We're gonna take care of it and we're gonna fly.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, chop, chop, here we go. But instantly I felt that I was able to share like everything about myself with you. I mean, it was the first time that I'd come to your studio, and it was the first time that we were connecting, but it was so easy. I mean, you were so welcoming and warm. I remember that you're like, tell me, what are you feeling? Don't hide, and then I came as a completely different person from your studio.
Aww.
It was, I am a changed personality because you were just not a photographer. Like, you were a life coach. I mean, you do so many things, and it's just a world of things that you put in your photography, and it's just like warmth, like it's like you gave me a hug with your words. It was just so brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. I think what it is that, being a photographer is, it's like being Starbucks or even Tim Hortons. Like, every single person who holds a camera, even a smartphone, call themselves photographers. But I think my definition of my craft goes deeper. Yes, I can take pictures. Yes, I can take technically sound pictures, but there was more to it than just clicking that camera. I've always said that photography is the only medium next to film or video, right, that can actually freeze time. We can have scars, right? It will remind us of that memory of an accident that resulted into a scar, but an image, a picture, is the only medium that can actually freeze that moment where you look like you. So it's very powerful to me as a medium, because I also believe that, as I said, right, if you think you can, whatever it is that you imagine or see yourself, right, is what comes into fruition. So for a lot of my subjects, like you and all the others that I photograph, I always sit them down and I ask them 3 questions. You know, very similar to this one, of course, a little more graphic, because I actually ask them, right, you know, what is the story that you've been telling all your life up until today? You coming into my space and wanting to be photographed. That's the second question. Why do you want to be photographed? Right? Mm-hmm. And in the third question that I throw them, which for me, I always warn them that it's a very thought-provoking question, because I ask them, if everything was okay today, right, at this moment, bills are paid, you've eaten, you've got gas in your car, you've got a roof over your head, everything is in a perfect situation. What is it that you would wake up to with fervent passion and pursue? Now, all of us don't ever give ourselves a time of day to think about that, because we function by default. We wake up and we go through the daily routine, the daily grind, right? We basically function by default. No thought process, and we forget that we only have today. I always tell everybody, you're so worried about tomorrow that you don't even know if you're gonna wake up the next day. Mm-hmm. I said, even if you set your alarm, right, when it's lights out, it's done, it's over. So for me, I think allowing my clients to be in a space where they can actually find that moment to reflect on, what have I been doing in my life? Is this what I want to do in my life? Am I missing something? Right? Am I just too scared to pursue something? Mm-hmm. And I think that's precisely why I took all of the risks that I did, which mortified my mother, because my mom is an accountant and she's very calculating. She goes, what the hell are you doing? And I said, you know what? I don't know, but I think the message here is that you are going to convey that life is not about the rat race. Life is not about chasing the holy dollar, right? Life is about living and just being the experience, the expansion of a higher version of ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, that's how I look at it, right? If I'm gonna die later, at least later, I'm not gonna hold any of these things, but the very least that I could do is do something that will impact your life by making you feel better.
Yeah,
you know, by giving joy.
I remember that from a book. It's 7 Effective Habits, right? And then it's like, what would you want the people to say on your deathbed? Like, that's how the values I think of myself is the values you carry is what I want them to say about me, and I actually live it. Yeah, so I hear you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful medium for me. Plus, like you said, there are other things that I do in my photography aside from capturing beautiful images and being a quack psychotherapist is what I call myself. It's also a perfect opportunity for me to have them wear my dresses. I love my gowns. I love the dresses that I make that just comes out of.
And yes, you sew also from that, and the wonderful dresses your subject have worn. It's just like the colors, the turquoise, the hot pinks. It's amazing. You guys need to go check out her website. It's just,
there was a moment where I was actually put on intervention by my children because I would just be driving and then I just make a swift left and it's like, oh, there's a fabric store, right? And again, this is one of those visions that I would get during my 3 o'clock a.m. witching hour. I would see this thing, I would wake up, head to the fabric store, and start cutting fabric like crazy. I don't use patterns. It's just like Edward Scissorhands, right?
Yeah.
And voila, I just come up with this crazy outfits. Now, mind you, if you are a serious seamstress, you would be mortified by my methodology, by my process. But you know what? The pictures are just amazing. I just love it. I just love that. I've always thought of myself as a technical person. I'm a hack. You give me something, I'll break it apart. I will put it together. That's how my dad raised me, to be fiercely independent.
Yeah.
But this time, I've given myself permission to create, to be an artist. You know how hard that is for me to call myself an artist, but I've embraced it.
So how do you capture someone's essence and their brand identity? How do you align that and bring out in your photography?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing that I do when I have clients come to the office is get to know them, not just on the surface. I'm very, very straightforward. I will ask the questions, the most uncomfortable questions one can ever ask. Because for me, it's bring your truth, your authentic self to the table.
Yes.
Because I will only be able to capture what is most effective if you allow me to get into your life, right? So I ask them what their passions are, what their big why is, and when I am able to find out, right, where they're coming from, whether they want to make $1 million or whether they are in the business of just providing service from the heart, all of those things are all factored in. And that's why I've always been told that my pictures talk, because when they look at an image, they can actually feel the message that the client is trying to convey. So I think it's that open conversation. I run a business differently. You know what? The funny thing is, all of my clients have become friends, not just friends, acquaintances. They actually have become very, very dear friends because I've become a source for them if they are asking for questions, if they are asking for a plumber, an electrician, or what have you, right? Or anything.
So would you like to share a story about where the branding photography is in action, like you have done it for somebody and you see them succeed so well? Would you like to share? Or so many stories, I would say.
Oh, you know what? Well, that's kind of challenging because my measure of success may differ from their measure of success.
Right.
But I guess I can say that what I found to be something that is really making me giddy with delight is when I did a personal branding for a real estate team.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, again, what we aimed for was a concept that made them stand out. Because I always say that if you want to be ahead of the game, don't blend in. Don't blend in.
That is right.
You have to stand out.
So
we had a meeting and I extracted their different personalities and I said, oh, we're going to create a Marvel, like a Mission Impossible kind of.
I love that. Avengers.
Yes, that's it. The Avengers thing, right? Now, they're not clad in their costumes, but they were polished.
Oh, yes.
They look like models and I love it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we created. And in the process, right, there was a lot of exchange. My contribution did not just limit it to just taking nice, crisp pictures, but you know what? It's a character. It's a personality that you're bringing in. It's the vibe. And so when I see them now post their social media, in their social media platforms, right? All of their TikToks, all of their reels, right?
Yeah.
Using their poses, using this newfound confidence, right?
Right.
And I'm not giving myself credit for that confidence that they have. It's just that, well, at least I could say that they said that they had so much fun.
But you brought it out in the pictures.
I don't know. Maybe it was the alcohol or something. No, we don't drink on the job. But really, it's because it's just a safe space where I allow everybody to be real, to be funny, right? And I always say, you know what? You have to project to your audience your ideal client
Yeah.
by creating you with the ideal image, by you being your ideal client, right? Because that's what we attract, you know. If you're soft-spoken, you are gonna attract soft-spoken people.
Yeah.
If you're energetic, you are gonna, attract that kind of energy.
So Anna, I love that you do and the energy you bring in, but you know where we first met? It was at the Resilient Women's Group meeting. It's Resilient Women in Business. And we met there, we networked with so many amazing women, and I'm the resilient leader of this Guildford chapter, and you are my member. I'm like so glad to have you there. So how do you think that networking helps you grow?
Well, I get into the networking group for one reason. It's making connections. I have never actually gotten in front to promote my business.
Yeah.
I go in front to let them know about me. That's how the networking phenomenon, for lack of a better term, works for me. When I saw you and I saw how would I call it, eager, maybe eager is not the term, but like you wanted to be out there, you were putting yourself in, and I said, now this is my kind of girl, right? Because she was unapologetically wanting to just be seen for her business, for who she is. And I said, I like that. Because so many women have, this is why I'm so passionate about wife building. It's because everybody's always hiding behind being a mom, being a grandmother, being a daughter, being a wife, being a caregiver, being this, being that. I'm like, where are we? And that's why I love Resilient Women in Business, which was founded by Cheryl Bishop, right?
Yes.
It's because she's created a platform, especially post-COVID, for women to finally step up, right? And that's my moniker for my portrait photography, which is always about women. It's like, step up, show up for yourselves, right? Breathe again, this time for you. Because at some point in time, we all step away, we all graduate from the roles, from the many hats that we wear, and we're left with no one but ourselves.
Yeah.
So this Resilient Women in Business, where I met you, was the perfect playground for me to just connect with the women and hear them, see them, know about them, and support them.
Yeah.
Like, you spun off and created your own chapter now. So I said, I've given my service to the previous chapter, so I said, I'm going to be here to support you and hopefully scale it together and see it expand and help more women.
Yes, thank you so much, Anna. And I have another question for you. It's which I think most of us would relate with, is how to balance, like how to have this work-life balance, because we get so consumed and because we are so passionate as women and in business, because it's just not a job that we leave at 5 and we don't have to worry. We're completely consumed 24 hours most of the time, because we're having these new ideas like chop, like, we're thinking at 11 p.m. about these new ideas that we're going to do. So how do you balance that?
All right, you know what? I call that ADHD on crack. Because that's me, like everything runs at 1,000 miles a minute.
Right.
This is how I look at it. I only have today, right? The reason why we think so much, and why thought leaders say that there's 65,000 thoughts raining for supremacy in our head every day. So can you imagine how that makes us really a little loony, right? But I look at the day as a 24-hour thing. It's like 51st dates. I always wake up fresh. 24 hours, hopefully 8 hours of that is spent resting, right? Is allowing your body to restore itself, or allowing your mind to take a break. So now you have 16 hours, right? I would not spend 3 hours straight with my child. They'll get so bored of me or so sick of me. So I think it's really, for me, it's compartmentalizing. I remember I suffered from sciatica pain for 16 months.
Wow.
16 months of excruciating pain, but I treated it like a friend, because when I wake up, I couldn't move. 20 minutes before I can actually do anything. So I said, well, if I'm stuck in bed waiting for the nerve to calm down,
Yeah.
I'm going to use that 20 minutes to meditate.
Right.
And that became a powerful practice for me.
Yes.
So now that I have put 20 minutes, I went to the water to paddle. So now I've taken care of my spiritual self. I went to paddle for an hour and a half. Now I took care of my physical self, right?
Yes.
And then I read books or listened to audiobooks,
Yes.
which is now taken care of my mental state.
Yeah.
So the first 3 hours of my morning, I've already tapped into the 3 most important things in my day: my spiritual, my physical, and my mental health.
Yes. Yes.
The rest is all about just, okay, do my chores if I have to take care of the kids. It's really just being very organized.
Right.
And also, I say, list down the top 3 things that you have to do today in segregation, right? Like in compartments. Your family life, your work life, and your personal life, right?
That's right.
16 hours is a lot of time. The
Yes.
problem is when we don't map it out, we are actually burning through time.
Yeah.
And time is something that you can't,
Yeah.
get
I
back.
feel like, Anna, it's also about the focus, because
Yes.
I feel like sometimes we multi-focus and then we say, oh, we do not have time.
Yes.
Right? But it's like you said, that taken time for 1 hour, but focus on
Yes.
that part, and then do not think about
Yeah.
the other things you have to do in the other times, and get to it when that 1 hour is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like when somebody says, oh, I want to get out of that. I want to get out of that.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you have a $5,000 debt. Well, you didn't incur that in 1 day.
Yeah.
That was over time.
Mm-hmm.
So undoing that is also time.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the same thing. If you are actually racing to accomplish so many things, right? It's like accumulating so many debts, and then you
Yeah.
want to figure out, well, how come it's not getting closer to where I want to be? So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It's focus. If you focus on just 1 hour to, let's say, create a social media content, well, you can say that at least I've already done one.
Yeah.
But if you just keep thinking, oh, I'm going to plan this, I'm going to do this, it has to be
Yeah.
perfect and all that, all of those things are burning through valuable minutes versus just get it done. And
Yeah, that's what I started doing. Like, I started putting things in my calendar, like 2 hours off on that day for a particular time, because it was really challenging for me in the beginning. Because when you're starting a business, there is like 100 tasks that you have to finish, and then you feel like so overwhelmed from where to start. Like, what is your first step? But like putting it in your calendar, okay, content creation at this time on Thursday, and then you're like, okay, and you feel productive, and you use
Yes.
those 2 hours to that. Yeah, so
just make sure that if you guys are using the calendar, because that's going to bite you in the back too, right? Don't fill it with tasks to do tasks.
Yeah.
Put there a big chunk of a couple of hours or even 3 where it's all about self-care.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people have gone away and pulled self-care to different areas. What I'm saying is just make sure that you're making time to breathe, right? Just like, okay, settle down. The world's not ending, right? I got this done, and that can wait. Sometimes you just have to be just so free, and you're not constrained by a strict schedule. That one is supposed to help you organize your day, but it's not supposed to run your life, right? Because there is more to it than just meeting the schedule.
yeah, so what are the other things you're passionate? Because I know you do a lot of things, and you are a jack of all trades, and
A queen of hack.
yes, you are definitely a queen, Anna. So how like other passionate, your projects, you want to share about them?
Yes.
Yeah.
So aside from my photography, and aside from making my dresses, and aside from painting backdrops, and mentoring and coaching photographers about their businesses and about how to position themselves in their lives running a business, I actually also got into the nutritional cookware system, which I am passionate about because in my past life, I am 3 cats. 3 lifetime cats.
All right.
So I also cook. I love to cook. I love to develop recipes because I had a big family. So my love language is food. My love language is also money.
So which cookware do you use?
So I use Salad Master.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Salad
Is it a new
Master.
machine or?
No, it actually has been around since 1946. So that's about 77 years, right? So I was actually invited by a friend of mine to be a guest for a dinner show where they demonstrated the cookware, and that's where I saw how wrong I have been doing it all this time. Again, we function by default, right?
Yeah.
Until we find the information. So when I found out that you can fry chicken from frozen to in your mouth without oil, without salt and pepper, and the most delicious chicken, I reconnected with what chicken tastes like.
Wow.
Real chicken tastes like, right?
So do you do events? Like how do you organize and how do you work with Salad Master?
So what we do is we actually host dinner shows. It is so fun because you can either be hosted in your own home so that you can see how it works and how it can live in your home. It can also be done in my kitchen studio,
Okay.
right? Because when you walk into my studio, you're gonna see my photography. I'm like, come on.
So could you bring your friends and could you?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Awesome.
Certainly, for us, it's all about passing the information.
Yes.
A big portion of the business model really is all about information. Obviously, there are products to purchase, there are products to invest, but I am not there to pressure anybody to purchase. I bought my own set because I fell in love with it.
Yes.
Even before they told me how much it was, right? I said, oh my God. And now, at this beautiful age that I am in, where I'm starting to feel aches and pain, it's just a perfect time because it actually was telling me that you need to correct.
Yeah, and we are talking about business and we are talking to balance so many things in life, work like this. But yes, nutrition is also that we ignore. We definitely ignore let's have a hamburger on the way or something because we are so busy all the time.
Yes.
But I'm so glad that you're also taking care of yourself, eating healthy. It's very important part of your self-care. Yeah.
Well, my mom's 89 years old.
Yeah.
And she lives on her own. At 89, she doesn't have the joint pain, the sciatica that I have suffered from over the last 18 months, right?
Yeah.
So I needed to get, I needed to act on it. I can't just hope that it will go away. I needed to be proactive with taking care of myself. So everything is just interconnected and I love it. And I'd love to share that with you guys at some point.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We're talking about food. I probably half the people would be hungry here. But I'm going to switch back to the topic of photography.
Yes.
What advice would you give a new photographer who's starting their portrait photography and who wants to start their personal branding? What would be your advice? You have been in the business for 13 years now? So
my advice is never lose sight of why you got into it to begin with. So a lot of photographers got into it for the love of it, and then they got into the business of it, monetizing it, and then it changes the whole landscape. You have to keep your heart in place for it. I monetize my business, but you cannot take me away from the craft. I put it out there for my art, so people support me. They commission me to do that because of what I do. If I am told that this is how I want it, then I said, you're gonna find a commercial photographer who you can tell how to capture you. Because my camera is just a medium, right? What I am about, what my business is about, is connecting you with your authentic self. And I'm just recording it. So for new photographers, A, don't lose sight of why you got into it. B, do your homework. Learn, be mentored, attend workshops, right? internet has everything in it. I do tutorials also.
Yes, I was going to ask you
Yes.
that is there an upcoming workshop or an event you're doing for photography?
Yes,
Like, our listeners would love to know that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I do mentoring. I do one-on-one workshops, right? So if you are looking to have somebody to guide you in the process, that's what I do. And I love doing it because, as I said, took me, well, I'll be probably close to 20 years now, right, to get to where I am. And would you want to wait 20 years to learn this? So I encourage you guys to connect with me, because if I can compress the workshop in 2 days and show and guide you the fundamentals and get you go from step A to step E, that's how you do it.
That is amazing. If I was passionate about, I will definitely come to you because I know how awesome you are as a person and as a photographer.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
like,
you.
yes.
Thank you.
So where to find you, Anna? Tell our listeners about how can we get to you, use your service or your workshop. Yeah.
Awesome. So you can find me in Facebook. I'm in Facebook under Anna Soriano or Anna Soriano Studio.
Would you spell it for our listeners?
That's ANNASORIANO, Anna Soriano. So it's the same with Instagram and LinkedIn, and my website is www.annasoriano.com. So just search that name, you'll find me. And my Facebook is just, you will see my life there. I could not separate my life from my business, because in my business, I bring the Anna that you would have as a friend in the same platform. So
that is amazing, Anna. It was a lovely chat with you, and you always bring this fun-filled energy, what I love about you. All that pressure on my head just away. It's just gone when I see you, and I'm so excited for you and for your journey and for your photography, and I bless you everything.
Aw, thank you. Thank you. It is my pleasure and privilege to be a guest to your chai time with Prabhleen. And I wish nothing but the best and success for you. And as I always said, I'm right here to support you and give you a hand all the way.
Thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next time.